Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at a photo or watched a scene in real life and thought, I wish I knew how to describe that in English? Maybe you say something like, he is eating, or they are walking, but you feel like your sentence is missing color. It's like you're painting a picture, but only using black and white. Well, today, I want to help you add the color, the shadows, the light, everything that makes your English not just correct, but expressive and alive. Hello, my friends. Peter here, and welcome back to another episode of English Talk Show, the place where we turn simple thoughts into powerful English, step by step, day by day. Whether you're walking, studying, cooking, or just relaxing with your headphones in, I'm glad you're here. Today, we're kicking off something really special. A new series all about creative thinking and sentence creation. And trust me, this episode might just change the way you look at English forever. And here's the good news. The tool we're going to use is incredibly simple. In fact, it's something you already know, maybe from school, maybe from detective shows or books. It's called the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. You've probably heard of them before, but today you'll see how they can help you build real, complete, and creative English sentences. This is not grammar class. This is real-life language, English you can use when you're telling stories, writing emails, describing a photo, or chatting with friends. Now, before we jump in, I want to share a quick story from my classroom. Years ago, I had a student, let's call her Maria. She was smart, she worked hard, but every time I asked her to describe a picture, she would give me the same kind of answer. A man is eating. A woman is walking. They are sitting. Technically correct, but very basic. So one day, I gave the class a little exercise. I asked them 5 simple questions about each photo. Who is in the picture? What are they doing? When is it happening? Where are they? And why is this happening? At first, they were confused, but then something clicked. Suddenly, Maria looked at me with wide eyes and said, "Peter, I didn't know I could say that much with just one sentence." And that, my friends, is when this method was born. So here's what we're doing today. I'm going to walk you through this method step by step. We'll look at a series of scenes. I'll guide you through the 5 W's for each one, and then we'll build full, rich sentences together, like building a house from the foundation up. You'll not only learn how to say more, but how to think more creatively in English. Along the way, I'll ask you to imagine, pause, maybe even say things out loud with me. This is not a passive podcast. This is an active practice session. So grab your notebook if you have one, find a comfy spot, and let's begin this creative journey together. I promise it's going to be fun, it's going to be practical, and by the end of it, you'll feel more confident expressing yourself in English. Ready to dive in? Let's talk about the 5 W's. The base of creativity, the 5 W's. All right, so now that we're settled in, let's get into the heart of today's lesson, the 5 W's. This little method is going to become your best friend when it comes to building real, meaningful, and natural English sentences. Think of it like a toolbox. Every sentence you build is like a project, and these 5 questions give you all the tools you need to turn a small, simple idea into something complete and beautiful. So, what are the 5 W's? You might remember them from school, especially in journalism or history class. Journalists use them to get the full story. Detectives use them to solve mysteries. And now you're going to use them to speak better English. The 5 W's are who, what, when, where, and why. 5 simple questions, but each one opens a different window into your sentence. Let's break them down one by one. First up, who. This is your subject. Who is in the scene? Is it a man, a woman, a child, a group of people, or even an animal? Try to be specific. Instead of just saying a man, maybe it's a young man in his 20s wearing a red hoodie and jeans. The more details you add here, the more interesting your sentence becomes. Next, we have what. This is the action. What is happening in the scene? Is someone eating, running, laughing, crying, reading? Again, go deeper. Don't just say, he is eating. What is he eating? How is he eating it? Is he enjoying it or eating quickly because he's in a rush? The what is where the movement of your sentence comes from. Then comes when. Now this is the one people often skip, but it's powerful. Is it morning, afternoon, or night? Is it happening now or in the past? Is it a weekend, a holiday, or just a normal Monday? Adding a sense of time gives your sentence a natural context. It tells the listener when to imagine this happening. After that, we move to where. This adds location, and location builds atmosphere. Where is the action happening? In a park? In a crowded city street? In a quiet library? On a beach? On a rooftop at sunset? The more clearly you describe the place, the more the listener can picture it like a movie scene. And finally, the most creative one, why. This is your chance to imagine and go deeper. Why is the person doing that action? What's the reason or motivation? Are they in a hurry? Are they celebrating something? Are they relaxing after a long day? This is where your sentence gets meaning. It's not just what they're doing, but why they're doing it. Now, why does this matter? Because most language learners stop at who and what. You might say, a boy is running, and that's fine. But what if you said, a young boy is running through the park on a sunny afternoon, laughing as he chases after his golden retriever because he's playing with his dog after school? Suddenly, we can see the whole scene. It's alive. It feels real. And all you did was answer 5 simple questions. The great thing about this method is that it's flexible. You don't need to know all the real answers. You just need to imagine. You're allowed to guess. For example, if you see someone walking with a suitcase, you might say, she's traveling. You don't know where she's going, but based on what you see, you can create a story. That's what makes your English more natural, using logic, creativity, and observation. And here's another thing. This method helps you think in English. Instead of translating from your native language, you start thinking directly in English because you're connecting ideas and building meaning naturally, just like native speakers do. Let me give you a quick real-life example. A few years ago, I was walking through a city square, and I saw a guy sitting on the ground surrounded by pigeons. At first, I thought, he's feeding the birds. But then I paused. Who is he? Maybe a homeless man or a traveler. What is he doing exactly? Tossing crumbs gently. When? Late afternoon with long shadows on the pavement. Where? In a quiet corner of a noisy square. Why? Maybe because he enjoys the peace, or maybe it's part of his daily routine. When I put that all together, I suddenly had a full picture, and I could describe it with richness, with warmth, with emotion. That's the power of the 5 W's. So here's what I want you to remember. Every time you look at a photo, a video, a scene from your window, or even just something in your imagination, ask yourself those 5 questions. Don't just stop at the surface. Dig a little deeper. Imagine the story behind the moment. Try different versions. Swap the people. Change the location. Explore new reasons. And soon, creating longer, more expressive English sentences won't feel difficult. It'll feel natural. You'll find yourself wanting to say more because you'll have the tools and the confidence to do it. All right, that's the foundation. That's your toolbox. Now let's get our hands dirty and build some sentences together. I've got 5 scenes ready for us to explore, one by one. For each one, we'll walk through the 5 W's together, then build our sentences from basic to advanced. And along the way, I'll challenge you to create your own. Let's start with the first image, a man eating a hamburger. Sounds simple, right? But let's see just how far we can take it.
Scene 1. Man eating a hamburger. All right, let's dive into our first scene. I want you to close your eyes for a moment, unless you're driving, of course, and really picture this. Imagine a man sitting alone on a wooden bench in a city park. It's a warm afternoon. The sun is shining gently through the trees, casting dappled shadows on the path. You can hear birds chirping in the distance and the faint hum of traffic a few blocks away. This man is holding a large, juicy hamburger in both hands. You can almost hear the crunch as he takes a bite, the crispy lettuce, the toasted bun. Maybe there's a bit of sauce dripping down his fingers and he quickly grabs a napkin from his lap. He closes his eyes briefly, savoring the taste, maybe even smiling slightly. You can tell he's enjoying the moment. Let's break this down using our 5 W's. Who is he? He looks like a young black man in his late 20s. He's casually dressed, maybe in a dark blue t-shirt and a pair of jeans. He has earbuds in his ears, bobbing his head slightly to some music we can't hear. He's relaxed, comfortable. What is he doing? He's eating a hamburger, slowly, enjoying every bite. He's chewing mindfully, pausing between bites to sip from a cold can of soda. He wipes his mouth now and then, checking his phone briefly. When is this happening? Judging by the light and the shadows, it's probably around noon, maybe 12:30 p.m. It looks like lunchtime. The brightness of the day suggests it's summer or maybe early fall. Where is he? He's sitting on a bench in a small urban park. There are a few trees around, a walking path behind him, and we can see a couple of pigeons pecking at crumbs nearby. There's a trash can not far from him, and other people are walking past, some with kids, some with dogs. Why is he doing this? Well, maybe he's on his lunch break. He wanted to get out of the office, stretch his legs, and enjoy a quick meal in the fresh air. He's probably tired of eating at his desk. Or maybe he just needed a moment alone, some time to reset and recharge. Now let's build this into sentences, starting from the very basic. Basic sentence. Who plus what? A man is eating a hamburger. Very simple. You can see the image, but there's no real depth. Intermediate. Who plus what plus when? A man is eating a hamburger around lunchtime. Better. Now we've added some time context. Advanced. Who plus what plus where. A man is eating a hamburger around lunchtime on a park bench in the city. Now we're painting a clearer picture. Full. All 5 W's. A young man in his 20s is eating a hamburger around lunchtime while sitting on a wooden bench in a small city park, taking a break from work to enjoy a quiet moment outdoors. Now that's a real sentence. You can see it, feel it, maybe even smell it. Let's do a quick variation. Instead of a man eating a hamburger, imagine a woman, maybe a vegan, eating a fresh salad. She's sitting at a little picnic table with a cling container in front of her. Inside, there are colorful vegetables, cherry tomatoes, avocado slices, leafy greens, and some quinoa sprinkled on top. She has a reusable water bottle beside her and a cloth napkin on her lap. Maybe she's reading a book between bites or watching the birds. Her vibe is calm, peaceful, and intentional. Let's apply the 5 W's here. Quickly. Who? A young woman in her 30s, wearing sunglasses and a light summer dress. What? She's eating a healthy vegan salad. When? Midday, maybe a Saturday afternoon. Where? At a picnic table in a botanical garden. Why? Because she enjoys nature and takes care of her health. Maybe this is part of her weekend routine, eat lunch, then go for a walk. Now, a full sentence. A young woman is enjoying a colorful vegan salad at a picnic table in the botanical garden on a sunny Saturday afternoon, taking time for herself and appreciating the peace of nature. See how different that feels? And yet, it's the same technique. Let me share something personal. A few years ago, I used to take my lunch breaks in a nearby park. I'd grab something from a food truck, a sandwich or some noodles, and just sit and watch the people around me. At first, I didn't think much about it. But after I started teaching this method, I realized how valuable those moments were. I would start mentally describing the scenes around me, like a woman is jogging past the fountain. An old man is feeding ducks by the water. 2 children are chasing each other across the grass. Without even trying, I was practicing sentence creation in real life. No textbook, no homework, just real, visual language training. So here is a fun challenge for you, right now. Think of a popular snack or lunch item from your country, maybe something unique to your culture. Picture someone eating it in a place that feels familiar to you. Use the 5 W's. Who is eating? What are they eating? When is it? Where are they? And why are they doing it? Let's say you're from Brazil. Maybe the scene is a woman sitting on the beach in Rio, eating pão de queijo and sipping coconut water. Or if you're from Japan, maybe it's a high school student eating onigiri at the train station after class. Wherever you're from, use that personal experience, use your culture, your memory, and build a sentence from it. You can even pause the podcast right now, open the Notes app on your phone, and write 2 sentences, one short, one detailed, or say it out loud. That's how the learning really happens, through practice. And if you want to take it a step further, snap a photo of your lunch today, describe it using the 5 W's, and share it with someone. your teacher, your friend, or even on social media. Tag the show if you want. I'd love to see what you come up with. All right, ready to keep going? Let's move on to our next scene, a group of students in a classroom.
Now, let's move into Scene 2. Students in a classroom. Picture this, a group of high school students sitting in a brightly lit classroom. The walls are covered in posters about science, math, and literature. There's a faint smell of old books and freshly sharpened pencils. The clock ticks loudly at the front of the room, counting down the minutes to the beginning of a big exam. Some students tap their pens nervously on their desks. Others review their notes one last time, whispering formulas or key points under their breath. There's a thick cloud of tension in the air, the kind that only shows up when the stakes feel high. You can almost hear their hearts racing. In one corner, two friends exchange glances and smile weakly. They studied together the night before, and even though they're nervous, there's a sense of comfort in knowing they're not alone. The teacher walks in holding a stack of papers. She gives a small, encouraging smile and says, "You've got this." That simple phrase carries so much weight. Suddenly, a few students take a deep breath, sit up straight, and begin to feel just a little more confident. Now, let's imagine a different version of this same scene, the online classroom. This time, the students are in their own homes, sitting in front of their computers. Some are in their bedrooms, others in the kitchen or living room. Instead of a chalkboard, they see a shared screen with slides. One student has a cat walking across the keyboard. Another is still in pajamas, sipping tea while listening to the lecture. There's less pressure, maybe, but also more distractions. In this version, the emotional atmosphere changes. Some students feel isolated, others more relaxed. But the goal is still the same: to learn, to grow, to succeed. Let's break down a few sentence versions using this scene. A basic sentence might be, "The students are in the classroom." A more detailed one could be, "The students are sitting quietly in a brightly lit classroom, waiting for their exam to begin." And finally, a complete, rich sentence might be, "As the clock ticked down to the start of the final exam, a wave of anxious energy spread through the classroom, where students sat with pencils in hand and silent prayers on their lips." See how we added emotion, setting, and action? That's how you bring a sentence to life. Here's a vocabulary tip. Instead of always using the word study, you can try words like review, revise, prepare, or go over. For learn, you can use understand, absorb, grasp, pick up, or master. These small changes can make your speaking and writing sound more natural and expressive. And now your challenge. Think about your own classroom or study space. What does it look like? What sounds do you hear? How do you feel when you're there? Focused? Relaxed? Stressed? Describe it out loud or write it down. Use one basic sentence, then expand it into a more complete and expressive version. This will help you train your brain to notice details and turn simple thoughts into beautiful language. Scene 3. Let's move into our third scene, a woman crossing the city. Picture it. It's late afternoon, and there's a light drizzle falling from the gray sky. The sidewalks are slick with rain, reflecting the city lights in blurry patches of red and yellow. She's walking briskly, her jacket slightly damp, her footsteps echoing against the concrete. The smell of wet asphalt mixes with the aroma of roasted chestnuts from a nearby vendor. Car horns blare in the distance, and the constant hum of engines, people talking and streetcars grinding on their tracks, forms a chaotic urban symphony. Her expression shows mild frustration. Maybe she's late for a meeting or trying to catch a bus. She weaves in and out of the crowd, avoiding umbrellas, puddles, and the occasional cyclist who swerves too close. Her eyes scan the street ahead, calculating the quickest route to her destination. Now let's shift that scene a little. Instead of a young woman, imagine an elderly man walking with a small black umbrella. He wears a long beige coat, slightly oversized, and his shoes make soft tapping sounds as he carefully steps over puddles. His pace is slower, more deliberate. Each step matters. He looks around with a calm gaze, nodding politely at passers-by. Perhaps he's on his way to the bakery, or just taking his daily walk through the neighborhood he's known for decades. The contrast between the rush of the city and his calm, steady movement makes the scene feel poetic. It reminds us how different perspectives can transform the same cityscape. Let's pull some useful expressions from this scene. For example, phrases like brisk walk, weaving through the crowd, or the smell of rain on pavement add vivid details. These are great ways to bring life to your English descriptions. And instead of always saying walk or go, try alternatives like rush, stroll, dash, or wander. They each bring a slightly different feeling to your sentence. Adding emotional context also makes your descriptions richer. If someone is rushing, what are they feeling? Stress? Excitement? Panic? If someone is strolling, are they relaxed, lost in thought, or maybe feeling nostalgic? Emotion adds depth to even the simplest actions. To create tension or urgency, you can layer in details that hint at stakes or time pressure. For example, she glanced at her phone. Only 5 minutes left. Her pace quickened as she dodged a puddle, muttering apologies to the man she almost bumped into. Notice how just a few extra words add energy to the moment. You don't need complex vocabulary, just a clearer focus on what the character feels, sees, and hears. So, here's a question for you, the listener. When was the last time you had to run through the streets in a hurry? Maybe you were late to school, or chasing after a bus, or caught in the rain without an umbrella. Think back to that moment. How did your body feel? What sounds surrounded you? What were you thinking? Try writing or saying a short paragraph in English describing that scene. Focus on the small, vivid details and how you felt. That's the secret to turning ordinary sentences into compelling stories.
Scene 4. Family Picnic. Imagine a warm, sunny afternoon in a quiet park filled with tall trees, soft green grass, and the distant sound of children playing. A family has just arrived for a picnic. They spread out a large, colorful blanket under the shade of a tree. As they open their picnic basket, a mix of delicious smells escapes. Freshly baked bread, fried chicken, juicy slices of watermelon, and homemade lemonade with mint leaves floating on top. The children laugh as they run around, chasing each other with paper airplanes. The parents sit on the blanket, passing plates, pouring drinks, and calling the kids back to eat. You can hear birds chirping overhead, the wind rustling through the trees, and the quiet hum of people chatting in the distance. Toys, flip-flops, a football, and a radio playing soft music lie scattered around the blanket. This is not just a meal outdoors. It's a moment of connection, warmth, and joy shared by people who love each other. Now, let's imagine a variation of this scene. The same family planned a picnic, packed their favorite food, and drove to the park. But just as they arrived, dark clouds started to roll in. A light drizzle quickly turned into heavy rain. They sat in the car, disappointed, watching the water run down the windows. Instead of returning home upset, they decided to make the most of it. Back in their living room, they placed a blanket on the floor, brought out the same food, and recreated the picnic indoors. The kids helped set the picnic space, and everyone laughed about their little adventure. It wasn't the day they had planned, but it became a fun memory they would talk about for years. Learning how to describe a change in plans like this teaches you flexibility in language and in life. Let's build some complete and descriptive sentences from these scenes. Instead of saying something simple like, "We had a picnic," try expanding it to, "We had a peaceful family picnic under the shade of a large tree, where we shared homemade food and listened to birds singing overhead." Use adjectives and sensory words. What did you smell? What sounds did you hear? How did people behave? Try, "The children were laughing loudly while running barefoot on the grass, and their grandmother smiled as she handed out slices of cold watermelon." Now, here's a short story you can model your own sentences after. Last summer, my cousins and I went on a picnic by the river. We brought sandwiches, fruit, and cold drinks. It was so peaceful. We played cards, sang songs, and watched the sunset together. That day reminded me how small moments can become special memories. When telling stories like this, use past tense verbs and descriptive details. You're not just listing facts, you're painting a picture with words. Challenge for you. Think about a day you spent with your family or friends outdoors. It could be a picnic, a beach day, or a trip to the countryside. Try to describe it in full sentences. Include what you saw, heard, felt, and did. If you've never had a picnic, imagine one. This kind of practice helps you move from basic English to rich, expressive storytelling that feels real and natural.
Scene 5. Artist on the Rooftop. Imagine the quiet hum of a city winding down as the sun begins to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange, rose gold, and a soft, fading blue. On a modest rooftop overlooking a patchwork of buildings, an artist stands before a canvas, completely absorbed in her work. The soft rustling of the wind brushes through her hair and flutters the edges of the tarp beneath her easel. Around her, the city pulses in the distance, with honking cars, muffled conversations, and the occasional barking of a dog far below.
The atmosphere feels almost sacred, a personal sanctuary where time slows down and all that exists is the brush, the colors, and the emotions that pour through each stroke. She squints slightly as the golden sunlight reflects off nearby windows, adding a warm glow to her palette. Her face shows deep concentration, and though she doesn't speak, you can feel the story she's telling through color and texture. The canvas begins to fill with abstract shapes and shadows, capturing not only the skyline, but also the feeling of the moment, the weight of silence, the breath of wind, the soft ache of inspiration turning into expression. There's beauty in the way her hand moves with both precision and freedom, as if guided by something unseen. Now imagine a variation of this same scene. Instead of a painter, there's a photographer standing near the edge of the same rooftop. He adjusts his lens, focusing on the way the light hits the side of a distant building or the silhouette of a bird flying past the sun. His finger hovers over the shutter, waiting for that perfect frame, the kind that's less about what you see and more about what you feel. Whether it's a paintbrush or a camera, both artists are trying to do the same thing, to capture the fleeting magic of a single moment in a chaotic world. This is a perfect opportunity to explore artistic vocabulary and expressions. Instead of simply saying, "the artist is painting," we can enrich the sentence. The artist, inspired by the shifting hues of the sky, carefully blended warm tones onto the canvas, translating emotion into color. For a photographer, he framed the shot with patience, capturing the last rays of sunlight as they kissed the rooftops, freezing a quiet city breath in a single image. These sentences carry more depth, more story, and more feeling. You can practice constructing similar descriptive phrases by thinking about the 5 senses. What does the character see, hear, feel, smell, or even taste? Use metaphors to enhance your language. Instead of saying, "the wind was blowing," try, "the wind whispered through the alleyways like an old friend with secrets." Instead of saying, "the sun was setting," try, "the sun melted into the horizon like honey dripping from a spoon." Metaphors bring your descriptions to life by connecting ideas to emotions or familiar experiences. Now, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever experienced a sunset so beautiful that it made you pause? Have you ever felt the urge to express something creative just for the sake of feeling it leave your mind and enter the world? Try to describe such a moment. Focus on building your sentences slowly, choosing rich adjectives, powerful verbs, and emotional comparisons. That's how you turn a simple sentence into a small piece of art. Let this scene inspire you to experiment with expressive English. Don't just describe what you see, try to capture what you feel.
Building creativity in practice. Let's talk about creativity. Not the kind that only lives in big ideas or artistic masterpieces, but the kind that you can build, little by little, through daily habits and simple actions. Many people believe creativity is a gift, something you either have or don't. But in truth, creativity is much more like a muscle. It gets stronger when you use it. It grows through observation, curiosity, and practice. One of the best ways to begin is by simply paying attention to the world around you. Don't just look at things, really observe them. The texture of the fabric on your couch, the way the light falls through the window, the quiet sound your pen makes as it scratches across paper. These are all small pieces of a much bigger creative puzzle. When you notice details that others ignore, you begin to build your creative vision. Another important tool is your imagination. Try this. Take a moment, wherever you are, and look around. Choose something, a plant, a book, a pair of glasses, and imagine a story behind it. Who used it last? What happened just before you walked in? What could happen next? The ability to invent context around ordinary objects is a powerful creative exercise. Even if you're not a writer, this form of playful thinking stretches your brain and helps you connect ideas in unexpected ways. When you imagine freely, you allow your mind to explore without fear of being wrong. Now let's bring it to practice. Keep a small notebook, or even better, use your phone. Take photos of things that catch your attention. They don't have to be beautiful or impressive. A cup of coffee, a crack in the pavement, a messy desk, anything that sparks your interest. Later, use these photos as creative prompts. Describe what you see in detail, not just physically, but emotionally too. How does it make you feel? Does it remind you of something? What questions does it raise? This is a fantastic way to practice writing longer, richer sentences and to build your vocabulary in a meaningful context. Let's do an exercise together. Choose an object near you, anything you can see or touch right now. It could be your pen, your phone, a pair of shoes, a water bottle. Now, describe it using the 5 W's. Who uses it? What is it made of? Where is it usually found? When is it used? Why is it important? For example, let's say the object is a key. You might say, "This is an old silver house key with a slightly worn handle. It belongs to my grandfather, who has lived in the same house for over 50 years. The key hangs from a hook by the door, always in the same place. It's used every evening when he returns home from the grocery store. It matters not because of its shape or material, but because it opens the door to the memories and warmth of family." See how we moved from simple facts to emotional meaning? That's creativity in action. Creativity isn't only for artists or writers, it's for everyone. It helps us solve problems, express ourselves, and connect more deeply with the world. You build it by practicing, noticing, imagining, and expressing, little by little, day by day. So the next time you find yourself waiting in line, sitting quietly, or feeling bored, look around. Ask questions. Take a picture. Write a sentence. Describe what you feel. Creativity begins right there, with your own attention.
Real classroom story. Let me tell you a true story that happened in one of my classes. A story that perfectly illustrates the power of expanding your sentences and how that simple habit can lead to incredible growth in your language skills. There was a student named Daniel. When he first joined the class, he was very shy and barely spoke more than a few words at a time. If you asked him a question like, "What did you do yesterday?" his answer would be something like, "I studied." That was it. Short, safe, and simple. And although he understood quite a bit of English, He wasn't using the vocabulary he already knew because he lacked the confidence to take risks. Every sentence felt like walking on a tightrope. Over time, I encouraged the class to go beyond those short, automatic answers. I taught them how to expand using details, adding who, what, when, where, why, and how. I challenged them to turn "I studied" into "I studied English for 2 hours in my bedroom yesterday evening because I have a big test coming up and I really want to improve my grammar." And Daniel was one of the first students to really take that idea seriously. He started small. At first, he'd just add one extra phrase, maybe a where or a when. But every week, he added a little more. He started describing things more vividly, making connections between his ideas, and sharing short, personal stories in class. Within a few months, the transformation was astonishing. His vocabulary grew rapidly because he was using it. Words that had once seemed out of reach became part of his active language. He no longer hesitated when speaking. In fact, he began helping his classmates by giving them examples and even correcting them politely when they struggled to expand their own sentences. His confidence bloomed not because he memorized more grammar rules, but because he practiced expressing his thoughts in full, rich, meaningful ways. And all of that began with one simple skill: expanding his sentences. So if you've ever felt stuck, like you know more than you can say, remember Daniel's story. Start small, be consistent, and don't be afraid to say more. Expanding your sentences is not just about grammar. It's about learning how to truly communicate. It's about letting people see what's in your mind and heart. And when you do that, your fluency, vocabulary, and confidence grow together. It's a powerful habit that can completely change the way you use English and how you feel when you speak it.
Now that you've reached the end of this episode, it's important to remember that your journey toward mastering longer, more natural sentences in English doesn't have to stop here. In fact, what you've just listened to is only the beginning. To help you continue practicing and evolving your English skills, I'd like to introduce a special companion resource, the ebook titled How to Make Long Sentences in English. This carefully crafted guide was created especially for learners like you, those who want to move beyond basic phrases and discover the power of expression, clarity, and nuance in English. Inside the ebook, you'll find practical strategies, dozens of sentence-building examples, common patterns used by native speakers, and a variety of creative exercises to help you transform simple ideas into detailed, vivid, and grammatically rich sentences. But it doesn't end with the book. If you want to take your learning even further, I encourage you to make sentence building a part of your daily life. Look around you. Every object, every situation, every thought is a chance to describe, expand, and practice. Use the photos on your phone as inspiration. Pick one each day and challenge yourself to describe what's happening in that moment using full sentences, adding context, feeling, and action. You don't need a classroom. You just need to stay curious and consistent. Small steps lead to big progress. And here's something even more exciting. I would love to hear from you.
If you've tried the techniques from this episode or from the ebook, I invite you to share your progress, your questions, or even your own long sentences. You can send them to me directly via email or post them on social media and tag our official page. Every sentence you write is a step forward, and when you share it, you inspire others who are on the same journey. Let's continue learning together, one sentence at a time.
Now, as we come to the final stretch of this episode, it's time to bring everything together in one final challenge. Something simple but powerful that will help solidify everything you've learned today. Here's your task. Take a photo. It could be anything: a book on your desk, the coffee cup in your hand, the view from your window, or even your shoes at the end of a long day. The subject doesn't need to be extraordinary. What matters is how you describe it. Once you've taken your photo, ask yourself the 5 essential W's: who, what, when, where, and why. These questions are the building blocks of expanded thinking and rich sentence construction. For example, let's say you took a picture of your shoes. Ask yourself, who wore these shoes today? What did they go through? Were they walking through puddles, running to catch the bus, standing all day at work? When were they worn? This morning, yesterday, all week? Where have they been? Through the city, across campus, down a quiet rural road. And most importantly, why did you choose to capture this moment? The answers to these questions will help you construct 2 complete, meaningful, and interesting sentences. Not just simple or mechanical ones, but ones that carry your unique perspective, your creativity, and your story. We encourage you to take that extra step. Post your photo and the 2 sentences on your favorite social media platform and tag our podcast. Let us see your creativity at work. We'd love to celebrate your progress and maybe even share some of your posts in future episodes. This is not about perfection. It's not about writing like a native speaker or impressing anyone. It's about creating a consistent habit of observing, thinking in English, and expressing yourself clearly and confidently. Whether you're a beginner just starting out or an intermediate learner aiming to go further, the real magic happens when you practice regularly, even in small ways. So here's your final reminder. It doesn't matter what your level is. What matters is showing up, taking action, and practicing with intention. You've got all the tools you need. Now go out there, get creative, and make your English shine. We're proud of how far you've come today. Keep going. You're doing great. As we reach the end of this episode, I want to bring you back to the central message that has guided everything we've talked about today. You have so much to say. All you need is to learn how to put the pieces together. Language is not about having the most perfect vocabulary or flawless grammar. It's about expressing your thoughts, your experiences, your imagination, and your truth in a way others can understand. And the incredible thing is that you already have the basic building blocks. You've always had them. Whether you're a beginner or an advanced learner, whether you're confident or still shy about speaking, the power to build meaningful, rich, and clear communication is already in your hands. All it takes is the courage to use what you know and the consistency to keep growing. Before we go, I want to thank you sincerely for taking this time to listen, reflect, and learn with me today. Your attention and willingness to improve are what fuel this podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and found value in it, I invite you to follow the show, like it, leave a review, and share it with friends or anyone else who is on a journey to speak English with more confidence and clarity. Every share, every message, and every bit of feedback helps us reach more people and continue this mission of turning hesitant learners into empowered speakers. And finally, let me leave you with one powerful thought to carry with you. With just 5 simple questions, you can build entire worlds with your words. The 5 W's, who, what, when, where, and why, are more than just questions. They are tools for exploring, describing, creating, and expressing. They open the door to imagination, communication, and connection. So keep practicing, keep experimenting, keep creating, and never forget, your voice matters and your story is worth telling.